You think all the way back to the beginning of Scripture in Genesis. Genesis, which means beginning, right? Think all the way back to the beginning of Scripture. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth is formless and empty. The Spirit of God hovers above the waters. And God speaks. He speaks life into existence. Nothing exists, and then God's voice speaks everything into being that is. You look at Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2 as God creates, as God goes about this creative process. And it's every time that God creates, He says it's good. It's good. And then He creates humanity. He creates man. And He says it's very good. And maybe in our more aware moments, we recognize how not good we are. And yet God says, no. He, she, they're very good. Genesis chapter 1, Genesis chapter 2, everything is rocking along so very smoothly. And then Genesis chapter 3, Satan in the garden. And maybe we've heard it too often, or maybe we're too familiar with the idea that as Genesis chapter 3 begins, that there's Satan, the serpent, in the garden, tempting Adam and Eve. The temptation of Adam and Eve certainly is of this fruit of this tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That fruit is appealing. Yet ultimately, Satan, the enemy, his temptation of Adam and Eve is the temptation that they can be like God. Satan's goal is to separate us, to alienate us from God. His goal is to separate us from God, and then his goal also is to separate us from us, to hinder us in our spiritual growth, to cause us to think that somehow we might as well stop trying. The enemy wants for us to begin to believe there's just no sense in trying. There's no sense in denying this temptation. And when he does, he keeps us under his thumb. Let me try to illustrate it this way. Who knows what's in this box? Nothing but
air.
Cakes, right? These are not the ones. Oh, these have been in the freezer. They're good. Promise you. Promise you. Nothing but cakes. Who has had a nothing but cake before? Okay. I have 3 different nothing but cakes in here. This one is a lemon mini bundt cake. Okay, who likes lemon bundt cakes? I mean, this is your deal. Can you come up here and help me with this? Yes? Okay, the other one I have here is white chocolate raspberry. Here, if you could just hold it just right here. White chocolate raspberry. I like the tie. Yeah, go ahead and come on up. All right, just stand right over here. White chocolate raspberry. This one is red velvet. Here, go ahead and come on up. Yeah. So red velvet, lemon, white chocolate raspberry. If you had to pick one of these, show of hands, white chocolate raspberry. You can only pick one. You can only pick one. White chocolate raspberry. All right? Lemon. Red velvet. Yes. Here's the thing. If you're asking me, I look at the lemon and I look at the white chocolate raspberry, and I'm like, that's nasty. No, those are not good at all. Now for me, it's the red velvet. All right. For you, it might be something different, but for me, this lemon does not tempt me in the least. All right. This white chocolate raspberry, not even on the radar. The red velvet, absolutely. All right. The same thing goes with how Satan tempts us. He tempts us. Temptation is what it is because of what it is. So temptation is what it is because of what it is. If temptation were not appealing, if it didn't look good, if it weren't enticing, it wouldn't be temptation. It is what it is because of what it is. And Satan knows that. And the reality of it is, each and every one of us is tempted in different ways. You and I, we each need Jesus equally. There's no one here in this room that needs Jesus more than another. There's no one here in this room that needs Jesus more than me. We all need Jesus. We all need Christ. We all need forgiveness. We all need salvation. We all need covenant relationship with God. We all need it equally. But the reality of it is the enemy, he tempts each and every one of us. In one sense, it's all the same. Because everyone is tempted in some way. Temptation evolves over time. It changes as we live life. We're each tempted in various ways. Temptation is what it is because of what it is. It's tempting because it's temptation because it's tempting. Let me build upon what we looked at there in James chapter 1. I want you to consider the idea of confronting temptation. Recognizing the enemy for who he is, recognizing the enemy for his goal. His goal is spiritual death. His goal is to effectively alienate us from God and alienate us from us. His goal is to separate us from God and to separate us from us. John chapter 10, verse 10. Jesus here in the 10th chapter of the Gospel of John, he's talking about and he's describing how God reaches to humanity through him and through the gospel. He's anticipating what will come in the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. He's talking about the shepherd knowing his sheep, the sheep listening to the shepherd's voice. And in John chapter 10, verse 10, Jesus says, the thief comes only to steal and to kill and to destroy. I have come that they may have life, have it to the full. Or your version may say, have it abundantly. That the thief, the enemy, Satan, he comes to separate us from God, and he comes to separate us from us. The thief, he comes to steal and to kill and to destroy. That's his aim, that's his goal. And he's real. Jesus is saying is, I want for you to live life as close to me as possible. And if and when those times come, when you fail, and when you fail miserably, when you feel shame, when you feel like there's no way around whatever it is that you're dealing with, and when you feel like there's no sense in going on, I want you to come close to me, Jesus says. I've come that you not only would have life, spiritual life, but I've come that you would have it to the full, that you would have it abundantly. Romans chapter 7, another passage. The Apostle Paul, here in Romans chapter 7, he's describing his struggle as a Christian. And it's interesting because we tend to think of the Apostle Paul as like this super elite apostle, right? And yet Paul, very often, he will share his struggles. He'll share how he falls short. Beginning of verse 14, Romans chapter 7. We know that the law is spiritual, but I am unspiritual, sold as a slave to sin. Don't understand what I do, but what I do not want to do, what I hate, I do. And if I do what I do not want to do, I agree that the law is good. As it is, it's no longer I myself who do it, but it is sin living in me. Now, Paul is not saying the devil made me do it. What he's saying is that within each and every one of us, there is this war that is waged. This war between pleasing God, being close to God, and then choosing the temptations of Satan. Verse 19, for I do not do the good that I want to do, but the evil that I do not want to do, this I keep on doing. Verse 20, now if I do what I do not want to do, it is no longer I who do it, but it is sin living in me that does it. So I find this law at work. Although I want to do good, evil is right there with me. In my inner being, I delight in God's law. But I see another law at work in me, waging war against the law of my mind, making me a prisoner of the law of sin at work within me. Verse 24, what a wretched man I am. And then he asks this question, who will rescue me? Who will rescue me from this body that is subject to death? And in verse 25, he answers this question. Thanks be to God, who delivers me through Jesus Christ our Lord. You and I think if we're being honest, if we recognize what God has done through Jesus, and if we recognize and begin to acknowledge the ways in which we are not like our Lord. But too often we bargain, and we want to keep these corners and areas of our lives not aligned with Christ and not submitted to God. And that's just not the way that it's designed to work. And Christ says, I've come that you may have life and have it to the full. He's saying, I want you in with both feet. And Satan's goal is to alienate us from God and alienate us from us. His goal is to effectively separate us from God and to separate us from us, our greatest support system that we have in one another. And Satan is so very good at what he does. As he tempts us each in different ways, and even as he tempts us and we refuse him, we deny him. After Satan recognizes that he's not going to trap us in whatever it is that we've been struggling with, when we begin to deny him in that area, you know what he does? He begins to move on to another way of temptation. Who here likes to fish? Okay. Did anybody bring a fishing pole this week? All right. Do I have someone's pole in particular back here, or just whose pole is this? Blake? Okay. I'll try. I was gonna do a trick with it, but since it's yours, I'm not going to. So here's the thing: fishing. Those of you who raised your hand, let's talk bass fishing. All right. Brandon, what is your favorite what kind of lure do you like to use?
Spinnerbait.
Spinnerbait. What color is spinnerbait?
Chartreuse and white.
Okay, chartreuse and white. Okay, chartreuse and white, spinnerbait. All right. All right. What else? Those of you who raised your hand. So there's somebody else, right? Who likes to bass fish? Dawkins.
Chatterbait.
What?
Chatterbait.
Chatterbait. All right. Is it topwater? Is it a topwater lure, chatterbait, or is that not?
Yeah.
No. It's not. Okay. Chatterbait. All right. What color?
Mine is like white and lime green.
White and lime green, aka chartreuse. Okay. So chatterbait. All right. Chatterbait. Whoa, hold on a second. What?
Square bill crankbait.
Square bill crankbait.
Yes.
Okay. So now we're talking like what color?
Like a dark green.
Dark green.
Like a watermelon.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me the name of it again.
Square bill crankbait.
The crankbait, chatterbait, spinnerbait, right? Okay. Here's the thing. If I'm at a pond and the fish are really biting, and they're biting on this crankbait that is watermelon color, all right? And I mean, they are hitting that bait. I mean, every time I throw the lure out there, right? They're biting. Am I going to change baits? No, right? I mean, if I throw it out there, and every single time I throw it out there, they're hitting on that, I'm going to keep using that bait as long as they're hitting on it, right? But now what if they stop? What am I going to do? I'm going to change baits, right? I'm going to go to this, tell me coffins again.
Chatterbait.
Yeah, chatterbait. Is this like a new thing on the market? Do you get paid royalties by bringing it up? No? Okay. So there's chatterbait. So if they're not hitting on the crankbait, I'm going to go to this chatterbait, right? And as long as they're hitting on the chatterbait, then I'm going to keep on using it, right? Brandon, spinnerbait, right? White, chartreuse, spinnerbait. So if they're not hitting on these, I may try this. If they start hitting on that, what am I going to do? I'm going to keep using that bait as long as they're hitting on that bait. What I want you to understand is Satan does the same thing to us. He does the very same thing. Temptation is what it is because
It is
what it is, right? Temptation is what it is because of what it is. It's tempting. If it weren't tempting, it wouldn't be called temptation. Now, Jody's going to talk tomorrow night about the idea of falling into sin. Tonight, my assignment is to talk about temptation itself. And the title that I have, at least for this I guess, message tonight is confronting temptation. And so within that, the idea of combating it, recognizing what Satan is after, recognizing how Satan works, recognizing that Satan is going to tempt us, and as long as we keep buying into a particular temptation, he's going to continue to throw that bait in front of us. But when we begin to deny him, when we begin to trust in God, rely upon God, and to deny his advances in whatever way he's tempting us, he's going to begin another maneuver. He's going to throw another bait in front of us. Because that's just the way that he works. It's the way that he operates. And the thing about Satan is if he can cause us to think that whatever it is that we're tempted with, that there's just no way around it. We've given into it too many times. If Satan cannot keep us from being saved by God, his goal next in line is to keep us from being as effective, from being utilized by God as effectively as we are capable. If he can cause us to think less of ourselves, that even if he can't keep us from being unsaved, being saved, perhaps he can keep others from being saved through us. One more place in Scripture. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. The Apostle Paul again. It's interesting the way that the Apostle Paul works. Very often, he will bring up how he failed. He'll talk about how God has been at work in his life. He'll refer to these dark times in his life. And it's an interesting thing because the very things that you and I, that we would say, that was then, this is now, that's in the past, I'm not going to bring it up. Those are the very things that the Apostle Paul will return to again and again. Simply so that he might elevate. Look at what God has done. Look at how God has been at work. Look at this transformation that God has brought about. Look at this transformation that God has brought about in my life so that God can bring about this transformation in your life. Now, it's not arrogance that we see in Paul. It's confidence. But not confidence in himself. It's confidence in God. Listen to what he writes here in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. He says, no temptation has seized you, has overpowered you, has overtaken you, except what is common to mankind. The things that each of us struggle with, even though they are unique to each and every one of us, Satan is tempting and testing and trying each and every person in their own unique way. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. God, he will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will provide a way out so that you can endure it. You think about how we are tempted, how we struggle. Whatever way is unique to us as individuals. Satan, he knows our weak points. Through his Spirit, through his Word, and through his church, that God has equipped you to be a source of strength to someone else. The way the church is supposed to work, the way that this is supposed to work, is that you and I, that we would trust and rely upon one another. And so when Paul says, no temptation has seized you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He won't let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you're tempted, he'll provide a way out so that you can endure it. What Paul is saying is, consider the ways that God has provided for you to be able to live a faithful life. And seek to be open to God utilizing his Spirit and his Word, Scripture, and his church, each and every one of us as individuals, relying upon God and relying upon one another to be able to prove and to live more faithful to Him. And oftentimes, even in temptation, we begin to feel shame. And so we don't share those struggles with others. And so what we do is we take away one of those components that God has given us so that we might prove to be faithful. Let me ask you this question. What is the most difficult thing about being a Christian? What's the most difficult thing of being a Christian? For some, it might be understanding what it is that God wants. For some, it might be just recognizing that, I really want to be close to God, and yet maybe others around me, they don't want to be close to God, and they just don't get it. And so it's frustrating to me when other people don't get it. Maybe for you, it's not feeling worthy, not feeling adequate, not feeling like you measure up. The beauty of the gospel of Jesus is that none of us measure up. And so God sent Jesus. We all need Him the same. We all need Him equally. And that shame that we feel, whether when we're tempted or when we sin, that shame was done away with at the cross, where God became sin and shame through Christ on the cross for us. I don't belong to sin. I belong to God. If we don't belong to Satan, why do we allow him any sort of strength or ability in our life? Rather to submit ourselves wholly and wholeheartedly to the God who loves us and who redeems us and who saves us. And maybe if we begin to do that, we'll begin to find ourselves not only denying sin and temptation, we'll find ourselves living more fully into this life that God has crafted and designed this life to be. Let me pray. Father, we each come to you tonight at different junctions in life. Father, we come to you recognizing to you that even though we are at different stations, at different places, Father, with even a different understanding, a different grasp of who you are and what you want and what you desire for us, a different understanding of your spirit, of your word, of your church. Father, tonight we come to you together, united as one. And our hope, God, is that you would do what you do within our lives whenever we're open to you. Father, I look around the room and I think of the ways that you have impacted each and every one of these lives here in this place. And Father, to acknowledge that you have not brought us thus this far in life to leave us without provision. And to recognize, God, that you have in your grand design, you have brought each and every person here in this place this week for a greater purpose. And Father, I pray your blessings upon every man and woman within this room. Father, that there will be an openness here in hearts like never before. Father, that we would acknowledge temptation for what it is. It is Satan's attack upon us. That, Father, that we would deny him. That we would not allow him to be at work in our lives because we belong to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.